Hey, help support the show by joining the Patreon or becoming a YouTube member. Also hit that like button to subscribe if you want more Cavs-focused content.
One of the most annoying and unfortunately prevalent narratives that exist about the Cavs is this notion that the Cavs are soft, right? You'll see it in the comment section. I'm pretty sure if I say the Cavs aren't soft, we're going to be a million people in all caps in the comment section. Oh, what you mean, Quincy? They're soft. They're weak. They're all this stuff, right? That's the most pressing narrative about the Cavs. I've said this for a while. The Cavs are not soft, right? Like Darius Garland plays through injuries. Not Jared Allen, but Evan Mobley played through a high ankle sprain, right? DeAndre Hunter was playing through a broken thumb. All of this stuff does not scream soft to me. What the Cavs are and what they are being misdiagnosed as is people are using the fact that they are undersized and things that happen to them just happen to undersized teams to also say that they're soft. Cavs are not a soft basketball team, right? We weren't saying that when they were when they came back 2 times against the damn Boston Celtics down 20. We weren't calling this team soft, right? Like, we weren't calling them soft when they showed up to Miami and then blew out Miami by the largest differential that we've ever seen. But, they lose to the Pacers. We call them soft automatically when, whether the Cavs were more physical than the Pacers or not, had nothing to do with the result of that series. The Cavs got outshot versus versus the Indiana Pacers. That is the point of that series, right? The Pacers were shooting close to 60%. The Cavs were shooting close to like 30%. That was the big difference between the Pacers and the Cavs. And we can try to ignore that and act like that's not what happened, but it was. Did physicality play a role in that? Yes, at times, right? I think the Cavs were the more aggressive team when it comes to getting to the basket. They were able to get to the basket at a much higher rate, more successfully than the Indiana Pacers. And there were times where the Pacers couldn't do nothing to stop you, right? Like when you tell me that a team lost because they weren't physical enough or because they were undersized, you got to show evidence of that, right? If Roy Hibbert were in the paint for Indiana and blocking every shot that we got to the rim, I would hear y'all out on the Cavs problem is that they're soft and undersized stuff there, right? But that's not what happens. The Cavs were the more physical team in the series for the most part. They out-rebounded the Pacers. They got to the cup more often than the Pacers. They got to the foul line more often than the Pacers. All 3 of those are indicators of how physical of a brand of basketball that you're playing. They were playing more physical basketball than the Pacers. I don't know if you guys have watched the Pacers. The Pacers press, but they're not a super physical team. They're not going to the hoop a lot. What the Pacers do is move the ball around, spread it out, and shoot a ton of threes. At least that's what they're doing in the postseason. Do they have times where they get physical? Do they have players who can get a little physical? Yes. But that's not why they beat you, right? They beat you because they're making shots at a high rate. They beat you because they have a Hall of Fame coach over there. In so many of these trades that I see people suggest that the Cleveland Cavaliers must make are addressing a problem that I just don't think is a serious issue for the Cavs going forward. Obviously, the Cavs have issues they need to answer because losing in the second round is a problem. Now, they ultimately lost in the second round to the team who presumptively, they're up 3-1 as of recording this video, is going to be in the NBA Finals. So maybe something other than like just the Cavs failing is the reason the Cavs lost in that series. Maybe maybe we just got to entertain the fact that this had more to do with Indiana than it had to do with Cleveland. The fact that it was just Indiana's year and it just wasn't your year. This year, the Cavs shot 30% from 3. That was historically low for them this season. The Pacers were shooting at an all-time high rate for them. Like that's pretty much what happened. They were hot. You were not. Why did they get hot? Part of it was they had some mismatches on offense they could take advantage of. And they got some open looks, but a good chunk of why the Pacers were so hot was that they was just making them shits. I mean, some of these shots were tough, real tough shots, really good defense on these shots. Didn't matter, right? Pascal Siakam making one-legged jumpers on you. Like, that don't normally happen. Shit didn't matter. Miles Turner cashing everything, getting closed out on. Didn't matter, right? Were there some open threes? Were there some open looks that the Cavs were giving up against the Pacers, especially after it became obvious that the Cavs were just going to get outshot by the Pacers in this series? Yes, that happened a ton, especially in the last couple of games. But the core of what happened in this series boils down to that. They made shots. You did not make shots. Now, we can focus on why the Cavs did not make shots, and you point to issues, right? They were really easy to press in the back court from the Pacers. So maybe you need more ball handlers. Maybe you need better off the ball people. I think that's a huge thing to Cavs. If you're going to be undersized, you got to be really good off the ball. I think the Cavs' big issue is that they're undersized and they're not very good off the ball. Now, what I mean by this isn't we don't have off-the-ball shooters. We do have off-the-ball shooters, and that's why the Cavs are really strong in the regular season. What I mean by good off the ball is the ability to get free, get separation like a wide receiver would on a corner without the ball in their hand. We don't really have anybody who could do that. Max Strus is not good at that. Ty Jerome is not good at that. Darius Garland is more underwhelming than not good. Like, he's fine off the ball, but you expect a dude with his athletic profile to be so much better at that, and he's just not. He needs to get a little stronger. As much as we talk about Evan needs to get stronger, so does DG, right? And maybe that's something DG brings into the offseason. He gets physically bigger and adds some weight to his frame, and this doesn't become a problem for him, but they need to get better off the ball, right? They were very sticky, right, to the Pacers on the ball, right? You can see it in inbounds plays. You can see it when you're watching anything but the ball on their offensive sets. They really just weren't good. Another reason they weren't able to get a ton of separation, and this does have to do with physicality, they're not a good screen team. They don't have a ton of guys on this team who screen really well, and that has a ton to do with being undersized, right? If you're going to be undersized, you got to get some guys who can screen. Now, that doesn't mean you need to get Steven Adams, but you need to get, even if it's somebody who's undersized for the position, like PJ Tucker's a good example. Undersized center, really good screener. Now, obviously, this version of PJ Tucker is not going to help you. He's more of a guy who can sit on your bench. That's not going to help you, right? But you need to find some version of that, right? A undersized big who could be useful on the floor, who can get you some space as a screener. It's real slight, some of the changes the Cavs need to make to get better, right? I don't think it's giant. I don't think they have to take a giant swing. I don't think they're a giant swing away from winning an NBA title. Maybe this is a hot take, but I truly think that if the Cavs were able to withstand those two games, they didn't have Darius Garland better, they could have won that series as poorly as they were shooting against Indiana. They still could have won that series if they were just able to withstand that better. Maybe they sneak out in 7 games. Maybe they take control and get 6. But if the Cavs were able to win the first 2 games at home, and they lost those first 2 games at home by a small margin, we know that they ended up winning game 3 by the largest margin. I wonder if that's the biggest win that any team is, one of the bigger wins that any team's had over Indiana when Darius was healthy. Then you're talking about starting that series off 3-0 and the pressure's on the Pacers, and that changes how they play, and you're able to get that extra game off. Maybe if you just split it 1-1 at home, right, and you just get the second game, and then you go up 2-1, and then the Pacers blowout only brings it to 2-2, you're able to extend that series still to 6-7 games. Who knows how that ends up? And if the Cavs were able to get out that series, hopefully they get to the Eastern Conference Finals. They're shooting normal. They could have won the championship this year. The construction of this roster isn't what held them back. The fact that they got cold is what held them back. And also, the Pacers got really hot. We see what the Pacers are capable of. They are this close to bouncing the New York Knicks in 5 games. They're this close to being in the NBA Finals. This is not some scrub team that beat you. The Pacers were shooting 30% from 3 like the Cavs, and they still beat us. Man, fire everybody. But that's not what happened. You ran into a team having a historic run that nobody expected, and you were the first real victim to them. And everybody thought it was just about you and what you did. But now we're looking at the Pacers and saying, well, maybe it's about the Pacers too. Now, will they win the NBA Finals? I don't know. The Thunder look just as good as the Pacers do. But the fact is that we're looking at the two teams playing the two teams that are playing the two best sets of basketball that we're seeing right now. And the Cavs ran into that. And they weren't playing great basketball. If the Cavs were playing like they did after the All-Star break in the postseason, if the playoffs started after the All-Star break, maybe the Cavs are like the Pacers right now. They're not that far off, right? They're not that far off. They have some issues. They are undersized, and it does pop up here and there, but I don't think it's stopping them from having success. Is it making it so that success has more variables than you would want? Yes, but it's not stopping them from having success. You can be an undersized team in the East because who else is who has a big team in the East? The Pacers aren't big. They're undersized as well. The Boston Celtics have size, but Jason Tatum popped his Achilles. We don't know what that team's going to be like. And even then, the Celtics don't overwhelm you with size. Who's really there, right? Giannis might be gone from the Milwaukee Bucks. The Bucks weren't really a contender with Milwaukee with Giannis anyways. They won't be it going forward, especially with Dame having an injury as well. Like, who's the team that's going to stop the Cavs from getting to the finals because of size? The size stuff made more sense when the East had more bigs, when Joel Embiid was a part of a championship contending team, and the Knicks had 3 bigs that you had to get through. But the size concerns just aren't there right now with the East. You don't have to have all these bigs to play in the East. And honestly, a lot of these teams in the East will play your big off the floor. So that's why I just don't buy into this narrative that it's the Cavs' size or their softness that cost them this series or will cost them a chance to get to the NBA Finals. There are things that are stopping them from success. It's just we aren't pointed in the right direction to it. And as much as we're focused on being undersized, that's how we get trade scenarios where people are like, oh, we should go get Jalen Suggs for Darius Garland. Like, that solves nothing. It makes you a bigger team, but is that your problem right now? I don't think it is. I don't think you beat the Pacers because you got a better defensive guard in there. If that were the case, now Isaac Okoro would have been a godsend in that series, but he wasn't. So that's my 2 cents. I don't think the Cavs are soft. I think they're undersized, and I think the undersized thing is super overrated. Let me know what you think in the comment section down below. Y'all have a great day. Have an even better night. Peace.